Hi everyone, I'm Alex Rosenfeld, founder of Freshwater Investments, and this is Coffee with the T-Bird podcast. I sit down with fellow T-Birds who are making an impact in business, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Each episode features conversations that explore the pivotal moments, personal motivations, and lessons learned on their journeys. Whether you're a student, alum, or someone passionate about business and personal growth, you'll walk away with fresh ideas. This is a bit more than a podcast. It's a platform for connections, storytelling, and celebrating the global spirit of Thunderbird. This podcast is sponsored by Freshwater Investments. At Freshwater, we make it simple for you to invest in large apartment communities across the United States so you can earn passive income, grow your capital, and benefit from real estate tax breaks without owning or managing property yourself. Egor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hi, Alex.
Hello. So I checked your LinkedIn and it seems like you've been with the same company, Euronet, for 22 years. And I wanted to start with that moment when you came across that opportunity. So can you tell us how it happened?
Yes, I'm kind of stuck a little bit with that company. But, to start with, this was an opportunity actually came up during my studies at Thunderbird. So one of the pretty exciting things that was there was this career management fair, and this whole career center was amazing. So the interaction with them, the help we got from them was amazing. And I was about to graduate, I think, already that trimester, and the career center organized this career fair. And usually this is like a big event. The certain premises are rented, either hotel or somewhere else. Like, everyone is dressed. The companies are coming. They have the booths. And one of those booths was Euronet. So I went to this booth and eventually I got a job. So that's how it happened. It all started from Thunderbird campus.
Excellent. So simple. So let's go back to the beginnings. And so you grew up in the former Soviet Union, and how did it shape you, your life, your future?
Well, I think that shaped significantly. Many things shape your life, right? At the beginning, at the middle, closer to the end. The family, the environment, the job, and so on and so forth. So for me, ridiculously enough, I was born in Germany, German Democratic Republic, and I grew up basically in Soviet Union. So both of these countries are not existent anymore. So this is a nice start. So I was raised and I was born in the countries that are not there. And obviously the whole environment where I grew up, it's difficult to basically say how these things, how big was the impact that had on me. But obviously it did. It's just difficult to say, okay, how big was the impact. But to understand the Soviet Union back then and in general, well, it was at the end of the Soviet Union already. So this situation, and I was not in Moscow. I was basically in Siberia. So this is Soviet Union in general is a kind of strange animal. But I was even in the more kind of segregated area of the Soviet Union, which is Siberia, far away. It's about 4.5 hour flight from Moscow, which is not the Far East, but just in the center of the country. And the whole environment was very, very, I would say, challenging. And we all know about the planned economy, how it was working. No capitalism, no freedom of speech or the openness of the society or easy accessibility of the goods. You basically needed to I wouldn't say fight, but you always needed to find the ways to get access to the normal things which are normal for us now, right? Like the food, the tickets, the travels, the clothing and so on. Obviously, it made a certain impact on you, on your character and everything. So, but on the other hand, there was some good things as well. Okay, the society and the country was kind of closed. You couldn't travel outside. But within this, we had fun. You're a child. Probably, when you're a child, you can be happy anywhere. So we would go like to special like children camps or whatever they call. It's just something like similar to these camps that they have in the US, right? Where you had fun, you do some things and so on. So the school events, the activities, the sports, the friends, the parties, all was that, pretty good. But still it was kind of like closed environment. And obviously back then, like I'm talking about like the late 70s, the 80s, the opportunities were limited. So I mean, even when you graduated from the university, you couldn't pick the place where you would live or you work. So sometimes you were sent basically in the faraway place to work for this specific factory or company, so on. So I don't know how exactly it impacted, but I would say that this whole environment of the Soviet Union was unique, was unusual. But I think that what made a bigger impact on me is not actually the Soviet Union, but this collapse of the Soviet Union, this whole famous perestroika and glasnost, Gorbachev. I mean, these all things that completely changed the society, not just the country, but the society. And I think that made a bigger impact than the country I lived in before that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I answered your question.
no,
But
that was fun times. So you're talking about perestroika, and I remember my grandfather had a subscription for many newspapers, and all of a sudden, those newspapers publishing amazing stories about what happened in the past of the Soviet Union, about atrocities of Stalin and so forth. So that was interesting time.
Right. So the whole society was opening up, and some information that was published was shocking. It was
Exactly.
kind of a revelation for us because you need to understand also. I mean, when in 86, I was 14. So yeah, I'm changing, I'm growing. I am like basically absorbing everything, but I don't have, like a big baggage, right? So, but for the guys like 40, 50, 60 years old, this is a complete collapse of everything they had in their mind, of the understanding of the world, of the understanding of the country. That was a tough one. But for me, it was just like, it was both challenging and fun. Because fun, okay, looks like everything is opening up, right? On the other hand, you still needed to go to school. So whatever they were teaching you until 86, in 87 said, okay, it's a completely different story. So, and it was kind of completely, it was a little bit messy in your head because you're still, building your, let's say, understanding of the whole world, of how it is all like working. And then from day one to day two, I mean, everything is just changing.
Yeah,
And I think this thing actually made a bigger impact on me than basically living in the Soviet Union, which was also a very unique experience.
amazing and unique experience. I agree.
Right.
Who were the biggest influences in your early years, like family members, role models?
Yeah, well, I mean, basically in general, I am more, I'm coming from the pretty family strong environment. So my parents built a very strong family, and we were spending the summer in the outside, in the kind of the village, but called dacha, outside of the city, with my grandparents, with my granddad and grandmother. They definitely made an impact. Were telling the stories of their lives and how they succeeded, what they were doing. The granddad was working on a very interesting position, and he was responsible for the telecom, and he was working on the telecom on the high profile places like the military, even like the nuclear bases, which were accessible actually at the end of the 80s to the US and to the NATO, because when whole process of denuclearization happened, it was also part of that. But I think in general, I was and I have been impressed with my mom. So my mother, basically, she worked in the regional administration, and with the collapse of everything, basically, I mean, she was challenged to do some other things, and this whole entrepreneurship thing, popped up in the country, and only very, very few people, managed to adjust to that. Because when everything is planned from day one to your, last day, you know how it was working. So, I mean, okay, the school, the university, the specific job, the job in the specific place. Okay, you get the apartment, you get the pension, and that's it. So everything is planned. And in one day, it just basically collapses. And obviously, people do not have the mentality, okay, I mean, they don't understand how they're going to work, how they're going to do. This was one of the things, why Gorbachev was not that successful, as some people say, because he understood that, certain things are not working well, but he didn't understand how to do it right. And the same thing happened with ordinary people. They didn't know what to do. So how are they going to survive? So my mom did it perfectly. Okay, she started one enterprise, then the second enterprise. I mean, she never gave up. She was always open to new opportunities. She jumped into those and, succeeded. That was kind of a role model for me, which was very, very tangible. I could touch her. I mean, I talked to her. So I think that was my role model back then.
That's great. That's great. So you always wanted to be a managing director at Euronet when you were a kid?
Absolutely. That from day one, yes.
You had other dream jobs?
No, frankly speaking, as I said, the 80s, when this whole thing opened up, that was a wow. Until 86, we basically, we knew approximately what we needed to do, what was the path, like the pioneers, like the Komsomol and so on, the party and all that stuff, and everything was around that. So when this whole thing collapsed and we started to learn more about the other countries, people slowly but already started to travel to understand how the world is working, that the capitalism is not that horrible and terrible. So obviously I looked at it as an opportunity for myself as well. So I wanted...
No, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to see the world, first of all, to understand how the other countries are working, are living. So how people, survive there in those different capitalism jaws, right? So, I always wanted to go see the world, look what is there, learn, and come back and basically to bring it to your, let's say, whatever motherland, your country. So that was my whole idea.
Tell us about your first trip outside of the country.
My first trip outside was in 1990. I finished the school, and there was a special program between Helmut Kohl, back then the German chancellor, and still the president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev. And there were exchanges of the students. So I got into one of those groups from Siberia because we had a big settlement of the Germans back from the Catherine the Great times, and then, also during the Second World War, big community of the Germans. So we were given a little bit more, let's say, opportunities in terms of the seats in this program. So I managed to get in, and I went to Germany, and it was like 2 weeks. And in 1990, I don't know if you remember, but it was like a complete disaster in the country. So the shops were empty, the whole economy collapsed, and even for the food, you needed to look for certain shops, and there were coupon system. So and I'm coming to Germany, to the western part of Germany, and it was just like everything is there. And for me, I was like 17 years old. That was shocking. That was a huge cultural shock. I remember I was sitting in the family, and obviously the language is English. I spoke English relatively okay back then, so I was numb. I didn't remember any words. I was so shocked with everything, like with lifestyle, with what is there. I mean, how people behave, how people, drive, or how they talk. So it was a completely different environment. And that was a real, so for me, when people are talking about the cultural shock, it's more like a term. For me, it was real. It was real.
And how did it impact you? Like, if you think about your future, that trip, that shock, that what you saw in Germany, did it plant any seeds in your mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was already, I just finished the school. I got into the college, and I definitely wanted to see more. I definitely wanted to expand. I even thought about already back then, maybe to study outside of the Soviet Union. because also the funding to the universities, when everything is collapsed, I mean, you need to get money somewhere. But when, you do not produce something you can sell, it was basically back then, again, like only oil and gas, but the prices were very low. So the funding of the institutions, of the universities, of the educational system was very limited, and you could feel it. You could see that. So I obviously wanted just to, but still the professors, the education was very, very good. Especially now I understand. I wanted to go outside to see, the world, to look at what's going on, at the opportunities, to test myself as well. Basically, okay, can I do something? Can I learn something? Can I acquire something and bring back home and apply it? So things like this. So I wanted basically, well, it was the whole move that, okay, to bring Soviet Union into the world, as well as bring the world to the Soviet Union. So it was and back then, like 17, maybe now people would think, that's not real. But I really wanted Soviet Union to become a global player, just to be, because there were some good things in Soviet Union as well. But I wanted also to bring some developments from the outside world to the Soviet Union to make it more prosperous, to really build on those openness that happened with the change of the regime.
Right. And how did you hear about Thunderbird? And maybe let's talk about Thunderbird's story at this point.
Well, the college I went to, they had a special exchange program with Northern Arizona University. So I studied in Altai in Siberia, and they had these programs just started with the American schools, with German schools, with French schools. So that was
So it's basically like a semester abroad, right?
semester or some special program, or like, several weeks, stay with the families or live in the dorms, go to the classes. Exactly. So it was not a year program. So it was more like whatever summer program, because it was in between the studies. So our studies were finished like end of May. I mean, the next year was starting 1st of September. So in this period, I mean, there was an opportunity to participate. And I went to this Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona. And we went to the classes. I don't even remember which classes I took, but it was really fun. It was like eye-opening. And, there, I mean, I heard someone said like, Thunderbird, something like, I mean, this is like whatever. It's just like out of this world. This is the best you ever get. This is like the fantastic school, in Phoenix, like top management school and so on and so forth. So that's it. That was the first time I heard about this. I got back. I think it was like in 94. So I had another year to finish the university. So I finished the school, and that's it, basically. That's it. So I never even like dreamt about this, but I started to work also, like, just to help my mom, to work like in the building additional businesses, additional lines of businesses. But I still wanted to do something, right? I still wanted to, and we worked with the international companies as well. So we started to seek for the opportunities with the foreign investors. Those became interested in the Soviet Union because the vast market, underdeveloped, to say it modestly. So, and they started to come, and I was working on those, let's say, relationships. And we built a couple of opportunities, but still it was like in Siberia, in the city, and so on. So I still thought about, okay, what about like the bigger picture, right? And back then, the special program started, this promotion for graduate studies. This was a Muskie program funded by Soros and the American government, and I decided to participate in it. So I think I applied once, then I applied the second time, and you needed to go, to do the tests like TOEFL and GMAT, and they were like on the ground in the room, nothing online. I needed to drive like 250 kilometers, and it was in the winter, minus 20 outside, to do this test with a pencil and so on. So I did that. But then in parallel, it is highly competitive. So basically from the country of like 250 million, basically even 300 million before the split, they were like on the business program, there were like 2-3 people given to Russia. So it was highly competitive. But, in the second time I already started thinking, why don't I try to apply? Because, just to look, maybe there will be some scholarships or something, because definitely, just like even with the business we were developing, it was very, very expensive, like over 100,000. It was really, really a big ticket. So, but, I said, okay, I'll try. Okay, where to? Thunderbird. Okay, which schools do you know? Which schools did you hear about? Thunderbird. So I applied to one school. I basically applied to Thunderbird. I got admitted, but the program was still going on. And I was chosen the alternative finalist, which was a huge progress for me. So basically, there were, I think, 2 guys from Russia who were given this opportunity. But if someone from them basically opted out, because the program works that they are giving you the university, you cannot choose the university. So they tell you, okay, great, finalist, you're the best. Here's the university. They might not like it. And then the alternative finalists can actually step in and just, take the place. But okay, I still applied and I got admitted to Thunderbird. That's it. This is my story. And then I started to interact with Judy Johnson, with everyone. And it was already like really great communication. I loved it. And the whole thing, just being admitted to such a school, was just like, holy cow. I was really shocked and still remember these feelings.
So did you start at the Glendale campus or the European campus?
No, I started at the European campus. There was a special promotion of this European campus. I think already for 2-3 years, students were taking classes there, and I was in the first class, which actually started the Thunderbird experience outside of Glendale. Because before that, you could take 1 trimester in our Sham, Geneva campus, but the second or the third or the fourth, but they never started. So I was in the first class who started Thunderbird experience, and it was not in Glendale. We were always debating, guys, maybe you should have started at Glendale. It's bigger, it's more fun, but it was great here as well. So the group was fantastic.
But you still ended up in Glendale, right? That's where we met.
You had to. I think when I started, before I started, you couldn't do more than 1 trimester in the outside campus. And I think we had like 3. I think we had, back then, it was Japan, it was Guadalajara, and it was Arsham, France, if I remember well. So you could have 1 trimester outside. So, but when we started, so we could have another one also in the same outside of Glendale campus. So I had the 2 trimesters in Arsham, and then I went to Glendale to do 1 trimester, but I ended up having 2. But you couldn't get the diploma back then without having at least 1 trimester in Glendale.
So tell me about your favorite memories that you created at Thunderbird.
How much time do we have? So everything for me, like from day one, it was completely shocking. The whole environment. Compared to the Soviet Union, it was a completely different environment, different mentality, different setup, different interaction with professors. It was just like, it was completely shocking. So like from the beginning to the end.
In a good way.
In a good way. I couldn't understand. I trusted that it is in a good way, because I would basically swallowed everything. Just like I was like a sponge. So, and I really trusted, because this is the school which I wanted to be in. And, I trusted. And obviously I understand that it was in a good way. But back then it was kind of shocking. Like in Soviet Union, you probably remember. Everything is just like individual. Okay. Classes, lectures, tests, you're great. That's it. Here it's completely the opposite. You do everything in groups. Very, very seldom you do something individually. And it's not just the groups with your friends, but just the groups, like it could be different groups. And not like the guys from your country, but from several countries. And, not just from several countries, but from different ages. And not just different ages, completely different backgrounds. And how can you actually think about this? It was just like mind blowing for me. But it was just so much fun. So this is just one thing. But then the friends you get in school, I got in school, they are still with me. We're still, interacting. We're still, even like, we're friends with the families already, everything. So these connections stay for life. Whatever, like the pubs, the parties, the travels, the visits to the companies, the professors. I mean, so many things. It's just like the whole experience, the whole environment for me, having had this background, as you rightly said, is just like mind blowing. So it was just completely different world. It was really shocking. So for me now, for example, looking back, going there, it would be like, yeah, okay, it's different. I understand. But back then, not only that these things were different, you didn't really understand that it could be that different. It was really shocking. So I think this diversity, the friends, the competitions, the classes. I mean, we had like big real project for 3 months on business intelligence, like real company sharing plow, like huge pharma, and we were doing projects for them. It's not something like, okay, yeah, let's think about, something, let's apply what you learned to some specific, to a different environment. No, it was a real project on real situation that the company had. Unforgettable. So things like this, so many.
Did you take the famous Forex class?
I did. I actually, I mean, I'm not 100% into finance. Finance obviously is extremely important. You cannot do business without finance. But I'm not like in the finance. So when I was finishing basically the third year, I realized that I can stay for another year to look for a job. But for that, I needed to stay for another trimester. And I decided, okay, I'll go to do the Forex. And I did the Forex. That's not, I mean, the whole thing, the whole class of Muffet and everything around it was great. And the Forex itself as well. So this is unforgettable experience.
That was a great class. Did you participate in any clubs while on campus?
Yeah. Well, I had the family already back then, so I couldn't be there like, 24/7, but definitely I did. So I mean, we played football, we played basketball. I was in the entrepreneurship class. I was in Eastern European club, we were organizing the Russian events, the European events. Yeah, I was trying to participate as much as I could. That was part of the whole fun.
I still vividly remember that meeting at the Eastern European Club, which was called Russian Club at that time. When you said, Alex, you should run for European representative. We're going to have a huge European party if you made it.
Right. We were fighting it. It was fun. It was so much fun, these events. These, especially, international parties, because the community was so international. And then we would have these cultural events with the food, with everything. I think it was fun.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It was cool. Right.
So how did you, while at school, you already told me that you found your job at the job fair, but what else did you try? What other channels did you use to kind of land the job? So that was just one.
None.
Big
back then I was
job fair.
Right. I still had like 2-3 months, and then I already had my family with me, and I had 1 more year ahead. I was not in a rush. I was also like the TA for one of the professors, and I was not in a rush. And I looked for this career fair as a real opportunity for me to start. And you always prepare, you get ready, you prepare your, I think 30 seconds pitch. You choose the companies, right. You choose you search for the companies, you look, what they are looking for. Do you fit or no? And so on and so forth. So I did my research. I picked I think 2-3 companies, and I went there. And eventually, of course, it took time. So first I talked to one person, then I talked to the second person, then there were phone interviews, then they basically flew me into Europe. And but that was kind of hit on target. Still married to the same company.
Great. So take me to that moment. You're graduating, you have your family, you're moving everybody to Hungary, to Budapest, to start this Euronet journey. How did you adjust? How did your family adjust to that, to the beginning, to new life in Hungary? And just
Yeah, we put all
Tell me
the
about
things together, and basically I sent them because my second son was born in the US actually, and he was 5 months, so I couldn't take them to Hungary right away. So I flew them to Russia first. So they went back to our hometown, waited there, and I started my job. So I went to Budapest. That was the main hub. I mean, still one of the main hubs of Euronet, but it was the main hub, the only hub basically back then. And I started my job. And one of the reasons the company chose me and I chose the company is, okay, I start with Hungary. I start with Euronet, but I will promote and open the office in Russia. So as I told you at the beginning, so I wanted to bring something back to Russia, and it was developing, it was
and
booming,
now
a lot
you're
of
bringing
investments.
something.
Right.
You bring in a new business to Russia.
Right. And that's how it all started. So I brought them here to Budapest, but I started to travel already to Russia. We opened the office, and okay, I started in June, and I brought my family in September. So I found the apartment. The company helped me to move, helped me to search for the apartment. I rented the apartment. Obviously, it was, shooting the videos and, making the pictures, sending, by email to my wife. Back then there were no smartphones back then yet. I mean, they just started to appear. And yeah, so when I settled, I brought them to Budapest, and that's how my whole travel thing started. I wouldn't say I just completely started. I was traveling even before, like for my previous job. But here with Euronet, I started to travel and open the office in Russia. So Russia was my basically first task to open the office. I started as a business development trainee, basically. So there were three of us. Because they came on campus, and obviously several, T-Birds went to the same booth. So they picked three of us to start our career at Thunderbird. The Eric Kaufman from the US, Roman Vasiliev from Bulgaria, and myself from Russia. So we started our career basically the same time, and they created special development program for us. Kind of business development trainee or something. I don't remember even like the right terminology. And after like 2-3 months, the company was growing. They were developing the markets, developing the services. That was very exciting for me as well. So I wanted to go back to Europe to do something here, but something dynamic. And that's exactly what Euronet provided to me. And I started to go to Russia, and for my first task was to open the office in Russia, and I did.
Great. So now you've been with Euronet for 22 years. So take me through that journey. What the major milestones through the journey, and just tell me about it.
Well, basically with Russia, everything started. So I started to become the country manager of Russia. We opened that market. Then we looked for additional opportunities, and then we went to Ukraine. So I started to be like the general manager for Russia and Ukraine. Actually, Ukraine became more interesting for us back then because Russia as a market was a little bit more of a challenge. Later, we actually moved it to another division. We have 3 divisions in the company. Ukraine, I started to be more involved with Ukraine. I was the GM in Russia, but also took over Ukraine. So was responsible for these 2 markets. Then additional tasks. That's why the reason I am still with Euronet, it managed to provide additional opportunities for me career-wise. So we were always looking for the new opportunities for growth, new opportunities for the revenues, new geographies. And, I started with Russia, then I went to Ukraine. Then we started to build the network in Romania. So I went to build the of our ATM network in Romania, the third market. Then, even though I was still based in Hungary, my family still was based in Hungary, and I was traveling. Hungary was a different animal, even though it was basically based and started from Hungary. So I took over Hungary. We started to build our business in Hungary, develop and expand our business in Hungary. Then the Czech Republic. Slowly I went, from being general manager for one country to then general manager for 2 countries. So slowly I grew, and now I am a managing director for Central and Eastern Europe. But also still, we look for the opportunities for growth. Additional clients, new services, new challenges. And that's how it evolved.
So it sounds like you work in so many European countries. What was your approach to kind of dealing with different cultures in those countries? And any lessons, takeaways, or advice for people who's going to be facing kind of different business environments?
That's where the Thunderbird experience kicks in. In my opinion, not because, I'm like really strong is in super trooper number crunching. I mean, I'm definitely not the finance guy. To spend most of the time in the numbers. But outside of that, I think that what Thunderbird is giving the biggest value is the soft skills. And it's not only the environment is diverse, so many students, so many backgrounds and so on. But I think we had classes I don't remember how it's called, but
cross-cultural communications.
Cross-cultural communication. Then business in China, I took the class. Then we had special classes or special even groups and the clubs and so on. So for me now, just going to the new market and do something completely new for that market and completely in a new market for me is not difficult. I understand the pattern. You cannot come with bluntly with your, let's say, okay, here you go. That's it. It's not going to work. You need to understand the environment. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand the people. Even if the markets are relatively similar in the demographics, in other parameters, the people are different. So the mentality is different. The approach to the services is different. And that's exactly the biggest fun of it. So, and that's exactly what excites me, because kind of you're doing the same thing. The ATM or the POS terminal is the ATM and POS terminal. It looks probably the same in different markets, but the approach and the adaptability of the product or the understanding of the dynamics is completely different. And that's exactly what still excites me when we are doing something new in the new market.
So I'm very curious to understand what you're doing every day at your job. Can you walk me through your day in life of managing director of the?
Well, since I am the regional director, so my territory is not just where I am. So my territories are across the big region. So, and I'm constantly in communication with my direct reports in the first place. So we have the calls. I have the regular calls with them. I have the random calls if something happens. So, I definitely in touch with the supporting functions, like the marketing, finance, operations. So thanks to this hub where I am at Budapest, many people are here. So it provides an opportunity for the face-to-face meetings. I travel a lot, so depending on where I am, the agenda might be different. So if I'm traveling somewhere, we might have the meetings outside of the office with the banks, with the merchants. We can go and see, what is happening with the competitive environment. Meeting with the team, as I'm the managing director. I'm not just talking to the business people or to my direct reports. So everyone in the office is part of the team. So I'm interacting with them. Yeah. And then the usual things, the financials, how are we doing? I start the day with the reports, what happened, the previous week, the last day, what is going on, and then see how we can improve. At the end of the day, we are not charity organization. Bottom line is bottom line. How to improve the bottom line.
So what are the main KPIs that you look at on a daily basis?
Basically transactions. The performance of the ATMs is the most important. The acceptance of the network, the acceptance of the transactions, the uptime, how the availability of the network, are they available? Like the card holder is coming to the ATM, okay, is it available or not? So we're obviously striving for this to be 100% available. So these are the main KPIs I'm looking at on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, I look on the financials. So we base our business on the forecast, not on the budget, but on the forecast. So we are telling the street, okay, what's going to happen next, not only what happened like in the previous week, month, or quarter primarily. But then, we need to see, okay, what impact does this transaction, let's say evolution, has to our bottom line.
Let's talk. What's the most exciting things in your work right now, and what are the challenges that you are dealing with?
Always to deal with the challenges. I mean, this is another thing that keeps you up to speed and don't get you bored very quickly, because so many things are happening. I'm for 22 years, and we've been through the very harsh times. When I came for example, our stock price was $20. Then I think in 2-3 years it went down to $4. Then the regulations change, because we are accepting Visa and MasterCard cards, and there some regulations may change drastically in those environments as well. There are some COVID things which impact your business drastically. So what do you do with the people? So what do you do with the markets? Do you close? Do you stick to them? Do you try to survive? Do you try to look for the opportunities? And that's where the Soviet mentality helps a lot. That's surviving was the daily life back then. So it's very, very difficult to shock me with something which I cannot, I close my eyes or I just give up. That's not me. And that's the biggest challenge. And that's the biggest fun as well. So, the trouble on one hand is okay, that's a disaster. It's horrible, maybe, time to look for something else. That's not for me. I want to meet it. I want to see, okay, how I can improve. How can I survive? And this is the mentality that is within Euronet as well. And that's what I like. This is there. And, our CEO is the guy who founded the company. He installed the first ATM in Budapest. They were just sitting, at the bar across, just seeing, who comes. And they were just checking every transaction. And this entrepreneurial, let's say, mindset is still within the company, even though we're way bigger now. We're basically everywhere in every single country now with 3 different divisions. We're huge, but still this mentality is there. And that's part of fun.
Yeah, that's exciting. So what are your career goals at this point, and what motivates you now?
Well, now, we are seeing the challenges in our businesses still. So because there are changes in how people approach the payments, how they approach the cash or the digital payments. So we look for the opportunities to see what else we can add to those markets where we're in. We are looking for the other markets as well. But for me, the most important is basically to improve the profitability of the countries. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound too exciting, but in the environment we are now, especially post-COVID, especially in my region, there are some challenges that require some creativity, some focus, a little bit different look at the things compared to how I approached things before. And that's exciting by itself. We have additional 2 divisions that would be fun, to use, somewhere my experience there as well. But for me, I'm definitely not bored, and I'm excited in what I'm doing, and the additional challenges are always coming.
Excellent. So artificial intelligence is a big topic right now, and everybody's talking about it. Did you guys start using it in your company, or looking at or exploring options to how to use AI in your business?
Things we do, of course, but that's another thing. That's a good question, actually, very good question, because I think that the skills and the things that we've discussed that we learned in Thunderbird, they are very difficult to be replaced with AI. Because they are more like interpersonal skills. They are more like adaptability skills. They are the skills that help you survive or adjust in the new environment. So AI, how I understand it primarily now, it's based on some certain patterns, on some knowledge, some previous, let's say, experience. But sometimes it's not good enough when you're trying to implement or to apply something in the new environment. And the world is evolving. And certain things that are critical, they cannot be replaced by the machine. I think so. And I hope I'm right. So, but things like it's still very interpersonal business that we are doing, because we are now, like, even though we are both B2B and B2C, because B2B we're working with our merchants, but our end users are the users of the machines. So you need to be aware and these skills of understanding the mentality of your customers and of your merchants, which are very, very much different from one market to another. It's I don't think it is very easily replaceable by AI.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up soon. So let's finish with a few personal questions. What advice would you give now to a 20-year-old self?
20-year-old self. That's a good one. I would say be brave. Set up the highest possible targets, because if you focus on them, you will probably achieve them. Most probably. Go, travel, learn. Have fun.
Excellent advice. So, and you traveled throughout the region, throughout the world quite a bit. What are your favorite places to visit, and what's your next dream destination?
Well, I love to travel. I love different places. I haven't been to many countries. I've been to 50 plus probably, but I still haven't been, for example, to Latin America. It's still on my list. I haven't been to Japan. I want to go to Japan. Just only last year, I went to Australia, visited New Zealand with my wife. But Latin America is on my list. Really, like any country, I'm open to any place there. Argentina, Costa Rica, any place, and to Japan. So this would be my target destinations for travel.
Excellent. And the last question, what advice would you give to Thunderbird students looking for their first job right now?
Probably the same as I would do to myself. Guys, basically be truthful to yourself. I mean, understand yourself. Go after something you really like. Because if you really like something, you will excel in that. Money will follow, because, if you really have passion in something, at the end of the day, you will be able to achieve that. And the most important thing is just build the net, talk to people, improve your communication skills, because at the end of the day, this is exactly what matters. These networks will make you succeed personally and professionally across whole your life.
Excellent. Thank you. And so what's the best way for students or alumni to reach out to you?
Well, we're living in the social media world. I think the LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, but I think LinkedIn is the best option. I'm there. You can easily find my profile. Ping me, and we will see how we can take it from there.
Excellent. Thank you, Igor, for this wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Alex, thank you very much. That's a great idea. I hope it will be useful, at least. If it is useful, or I'll be pinged by at least one person, that's worth it already.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Thank you. Bye-bye.